Okay, so this is pull B, which is my second pull workout of the week. Back and biceps. This is supposed to be mainly lat focused with a tiny bit of rear delt volume involved. You can see here I'm starting off with assisted pull-ups. Assisted pull-ups get a bad rap. I don't know why. They're actually phenomenal. People have this strange thing in their heads where they think that assisted pull-ups are for some reason different to normal pull-ups, and they hold normal pull-ups in a very high regard, but assisted pull-ups in less of a high regard, which is really silly. So assisted pull-ups are basically normal pull-ups but more stable and better suited to managing the load that you're using. So I don't know why anyone would ever do normal pull-ups as opposed to assisted pull-ups. If, your technique isn't good enough to do normal pull-ups with your body weight, which most people's isn't. If you have perfect technique like I'm doing here, these are just warm-up sets, but obviously technique would stay the same. If you have technique like this, and you can do regular body weight pull-ups for sets of at least 5, then you can tell me to shut up, and you also will most definitely have an enormous back unless you weigh like 40 kilos. But yeah, if you can do pull-ups like this on a regular bar without assistance and even with weight, now if you can do this with weight, you most certainly have an enormous back. Now, I mean exactly replicate what I'm doing here. I don't mean, like a little bit replication. I mean exactly the same technique. Right, I just wanted to check there that I thought there was something weird going on with the audio, but never mind. Yeah, so what I was saying, if you can do if you can do regular pull-ups like this, you have an enormous back, and there's absolutely no reason that you need to be taking advice from me. But likelihood is that you can't do pull-ups like this. I would say for 90% of the human populace, they cannot do unassisted pull-ups with technique like I'm displaying here. Look at that ass. Fucking hell. That's fantastic. Anyway, so you can see I'm strapping in. Again, see people doing these without straps. Idiots. I've put these, I don't know what they are. I think these are like little blue cuffs that, like cable cuffs, that I found in the gym that are like kind of broken because the clips for the cable machines have come off them. But I've used them to like strap on to the handles that you see here, so I can use wrist straps and strap in, because the handles, and prepare for a big rant here, the handles are made out of this stupid material that gym equipment companies seem to think is a good idea to make their handle out of. It's this stupid rubbery material that is rubbish. It doesn't, it feels good for pushing exercises, I guess. But, anything kind of feels good for a pushing exercise. You don't really need too much padding. And if you do need padding, you can just but you don't use padding on a dumbbell press or like a barbell press. So why would you need padding on a machine press? Anyway, the main reason I brought that up is because of pulling movements. Like, it just makes straps obsolete. You can't strap in. I'm sure if you're watching this, you can tell the type of material that these handles are made out of, and they're so annoying. If any executives at a gym equipment company are watching this, on the off chance that they are, please, for the love of God, stop doing this. I don't know why you're doing this. It's the dumbest thing in the world. Just please stop. Anyway, despite the handles being made out, and I'm still going with this rant. It's a lot of good machines. Like, there's a lot of like Prime makes a horizontal row that has this stupid material on it. I've seen other Matrix. Matrix just makes kind of like commercial gym equipment, but they use it on their stuff as well. Really stupid. Please, for the love of God, stop doing this. Anyway, I don't know where I'm at here. I must have done all of my warm-up sets so far if I'm using straps. And I can see there's not much resistance on there, so this is probably either a potentiation set or a work set. What is a potentiation set, you may ask? You may even be asking, what is a work set? And I will explain both of those things. So basically, a potentiation... In fact, I'll start with a work set because that makes more sense to start there. A work set is an abbreviation for a working set. A working set is basically a set that's not a warm-up set. So like, for example, if someone says they're doing... I think here I did 4 sets. Yeah, this is definitely a work set. I can tell by how mentally prepared I'm getting. I think I did 4 sets of pull-ups here. So a working set or work set is basically, one of those 4 sets that you've programmed yourself. So say, for example, obviously this is the first exercise in my workout. So, I'm going to do a couple warm-up sets and then a potentiation set before my first working set. Which you're seeing here. I've lost count of how many reps I've done, but this is definitely a working set. A working set is just like one of the 4 sets that you do out of the volume that you've programmed for yourself for that given exercise. Fucking hell, what is that, like 800 RIR? Jesus. So, a potentiation set is a set that you do before your working set and after your warm-up set. So I think here I did maybe 2 warm-up sets, and usually I do 2 or 3. Depends on the exercise, depends on the load. Also depends on where the exercise is in the training session. But here I did 2 or 3, I think. So once I've done the 2 or 3 warm-up sets with a very, very light load, and load, by the way, is just a term for weight. So however much weight you're using is referred to as load. So once you've done the 2 or 3 warm-up sets, I do here, I don't know if I filmed it, I can't really remember, to be honest. I've been just yapping away. I do a potentiation set, which is basically 1 to 4 reps of your working weight, and some people even use more than their working weight. So working weight is the amount of load or weight rather that you're intending on using for your working sets. So, and what that does is basically, I would never do, I might, depends on the exercise, but usually I'd only do working sets for the first exercise in the training session. And basically the purpose of a working set is potentiation set. The purpose of a potentiation set is to potentiate your central nervous system, or otherwise referred to as CNS. So it's to potentiate your central nervous system to be able to handle the load. That sounds rather interesting. Anyway, to handle the load that you're about to use for your working set. So I don't know if you've ever felt this when training, but when you do your first working set, so say you're doing 4 sets of dumbbell rows, for example. If you're doing 4 sets of dumbbell rows and you do, 8 reps on the first set, and it felt okay, but it's felt better before, if you know what I'm saying. And then on the second set, you do 11 reps, and you're like, that's not right. And it felt perfect. It felt smooth. Everything felt warm. And you're just thinking, God, is there something wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? Am I an idiot? Am I sandbagging? What am I doing? No, on the second set, your central nervous system is now awake. So it's been primed by the first set. And now the most productive set of that exercise was the second set. And who wants that? We want the most productive set to be the first set, right? Because then standardization is easier, progression is easier to track. So a potentiation set is basically like a first set for your central nervous system. So it wakes up your CNS to be ready for the first set, so that your first set is your most productive from there. What I'm doing here, actually, is I am basically checking how many slots are showing on the bench. Sorry, I'm speaking really weird right now because the video almost just cut out there for some strange reason. Anyway, yeah, I'm checking how many slots are on the bench, because you have to note that if you're doing an exercise, and I see people doing this as well. So, second thing I see people doing is, for example, if you're doing here a dumbbell row, and you've programmed dumbbell rows, to do once a week or twice a week or whatever, and they just set up the bench any which way, or they use a different bench to the one that they used last week, or they lean against the dumbbell rack. Now, leaning against the dumbbell rack is fine if you don't train in a very busy gym. That's fine. It's actually quite standardized, as long as it's on the same part of the rack every time and it's the same height. I don't have any problem with that. But you see people using different benches or different height settings on different benches, and that makes it a different exercise. You can't do that, because, that's like doing a press with the bench on a different incline every time you do it. Really, you wouldn't do that. So why would you do that with a row? So yeah, I was counting the number of slots there so I can note it down and make sure it's the same every single week. So yeah, here's second exercise of the training session. This is the rear delt volume that I was talking about earlier. This is obviously a single arm dumbbell row, starting with the left first, because my left side of my body is literally half the size of the right side of my body. I'm not sure how that happened. I've got horrific tricep imbalance, and I'll explain that in a later video, probably a push session that'll make more sense. But yeah, everybody has imbalances. Actually, that's a lie. Some people don't, but some people have more than others. I have some pretty bad ones, unfortunately. Not quite sure what it's from specifically. I know that the tricep imbalance is from a really, really dodgy push down technique that I did for a year and a half. Yeah, I'll explain that later. That was really silly of me. Here's me flexing my non-existent biceps. And then, speaking of biceps, this is bicep curls, cable curls, single arm again, to combat my horrific muscle imbalances. This is the last exercise of the training session, so only 3 exercises. People come in the gym, they're doing 10 exercises. What are you doing? You don't need to do 10. Do 3, same number of sets, same number of volumes, same amount of volume. I mean, if you're unemployed, yeah, do 8 exercises, be my guest. If you're unemployed and have 3.5 hours to train, fair enough. I would probably do the same. I know a guy who's a personal trainer who splits his volume into 2 training sessions throughout the day. So like in the morning he does, or not the morning, but like earlier in the day he does his this guy's a power lifter, so he does his main big 3, so like squat, bench or deadlift, and then his accessories later in the day, just gets a nasty pump and then has dinner or has another meal. This guy eats like 8 meals a day, so that's a bad example, but yeah, so if you have as much, it's kind of just a time thing, I suppose, because I don't have a lot of time sometimes, so I just choose to do less exercises. So there's less setup time and more time actually lifting the weights, which is always good. But yeah, this is obviously, there's not really much to explain about cable curls. It's kind of just a curl. If you mess up curls, just quit working out, quit exercising. It's no use for you if you can't do a curl, because children can do bicep curls. If you have bad technique on bicep curls, just give up. There's nothing for you. I can't help you. Just quit. Revoke your gym membership, or I don't know if that's the right terminology, but just void it. Give up. Yeah, this is a great gym, by the way. This is I heard someone describe this gym I'm training in this video as rustic, which I think is the perfect way to describe it. And that signed picture of Ronnie Coleman on the back wall there is actually a fake, which was the same guy pointed out to me that it was a fake signed picture of Ronnie Coleman, which absolutely shattered my world. But yeah, it's printed, it's not real. But anyway, yeah, again, people try and get all fancy with the gym they go to as well. They try and get all fancy with, my gym has this, my gym has that. I know this person who goes to a gym with a barber in it and is probably one of the most well-equipped gyms in the country. But they don't look like me. I'm not going to get insulting and say some nasty things about them, but they don't look like me. And they go to this fancy gym, and I go to this rustic gym, and I look twice as good as them. So, and twice as good is a bit of an insult to me, no offense to them, but yeah, like, you don't need to do fancy stuff to look good or look impressive. You just need to do basic stuff very, very well and for a very, very long time, whilst eating adequate amounts of food and whilst getting adequate amounts of sleep and water. It's really that simple. There's a couple of other things in there in the mix as well, but those are the main things, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely love cable bicep curls. But yeah, this is some footage from me doing cardio when I originally recorded the audio for this, but it was rubbish. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Here's me posing, and yeah, thanks for watching.
I wanna heal, I wanna feel what I thought was never real. I wanna let go of the pain I felt so long. Erase all the pain till it's gone.